What's up, Bears fans? Your boy Coach T with Chicago Bears 360 back with another live recording for you, show for you. Listen, it's the Caleb Williams show, man. We're asking questions about Caleb Williams, helping the fans manage expectations, talking about the reality of the thing, because guess what? I feel like we're setting ourselves up in some instances either way for disappointment. Not that Caleb will be a disappointment, but I'm concerned that fans are probably putting too much expectations on the young man early on. Plus, Montez Sweat chimes in on the expectations for the season himself. So we'll talk about that a little bit. Also, we're having a special guest on the show, man. Just one of my favorite football minds to exchange kind of Bears topics with is going to be joining the show here in a little bit. That and so much more. We're tuning in and we're asking the maestro to get ready to cue the intro. Let's go. Contra.
Life like chess, move to pieces, you know I roll in silence. On the road to them Benjis, I fill my teeth with diamonds. I'm high as fuck in the sky, you would've thought I'm pilot. I'm from Chicago, it get ugly, fill the streets with violence. Life like chess, move to pieces, you know I roll in silence.
Past, present, future. We bear down.
Just like that, Bears fans, we're back. That's right, past, present, or future, we bear down. Do me a favor if you're in the chat, man. Run those likes up for the show. Subscribe to the show if you're watching those playback. And share if you choose to do so, man. We appreciate you. Thank you for joining Chicago Bears 360 with Coach T and guests. All right, we got a lot of guests coming up. Of course, might as well, while we're talking about guests, remind you guys that we're going to have one Mr. Lawrence Holmes on the show on Thursday, man. Excited about that conversation. And also today, man, we have a special guest on the show, guest of the program, friend from X, Twitter, X, whatever the case, whatever you want to call it, is going to be popping in to talk football, talk Caleb Williams, man, real fast. I have to get to some of the topics today, right? You know what I'm saying? I'll start with Mr. Montez Sweat, actually on which one of those Long Brothers show he was on today? Howie, was a Howie's son, and then Kyle. What's the other brother's name? Chris. On Chris's show today, you know what I'm saying? I got a chance to listen to the interview or the show right before coming on the program. And basically, guys just talking about, you know what I'm saying, pass rush technique and all that other stuff. And then it gets to a part where, you know what I'm saying, Chris asks Tez about the expectation of the season and where he sees this Bears team going. And Montez basically didn't pull any punches. Bro was like, Pete is not losing to the Packers this year. And we got to talk about that because guess what, man? That's what type of leadership, that's kind of bravado that's going to make this rivalry worth it again. Because guess what? The Packers, listen, we'll call it what you want, say you want. They've been our ass probably over the last 3 decades. And time we had somebody in that locker room that's on this team is going to draw a line in the sand and say, hey, the BS ends here. Now, challenge with that is you got to back up. You know what I'm saying? But appreciate, you know what I'm saying? I appreciate somebody sacking up and actually taking this rivalry seriously, because in times past, it felt like, you know what I'm saying, players are just collecting the check. I'm not even going to lie. Around the rivalry, they were downplaying, you know what I'm saying? I could be critical of it because I can. You know what I'm saying? Like they not showing up ready for war when it came to this game. You know what I'm saying? It was like a finesse things. You know, buying opponents to games. We, you know what I'm saying, wearing, you know what I'm saying, he's best to the game. Bro, it's time to break out, you know what I'm saying, the black forces for and you know what I'm saying, the black hoodie and get ready to go to war. So shout out to Montez Sweat for drawing the line and setting the precedent for the rest of that locker room and understanding what the mission is. If you're gonna win this division, let's go ahead and call it what it is. You know what I'm saying? The Detroit Lions are paper tigers. You know what I'm saying? They're paper champion. They're shallow champions of this division. You know what I'm saying? I don't think they necessarily have a stronghold on the division. Of course, we split the division series with Detroit. You know what I'm saying? 1-1, and we really should have won both of those games. So on paper, really threatened by them. You know what I'm saying? The target is always and will always be Green Bay. You know what I'm saying? I'll call it what it is. I don't mind saying it. You know what I'm saying? I'm gonna be like Montez Sweat. I'm just gonna say it how I see it. We gotta go through Green Bay, and particularly we got to figure out how to you know what I'm saying, how to corral. It's really about Matt LaFleur to me, more than anybody, more than Jordan Love, more than that wide receiver core, Christian Watkins, whatever those dudes' names is. That little group that they got, a nice little group over there. It's the collective. You know what I'm saying? It's the collective. Of course, they added some pieces of running back, but it's about beating them. And I think also to that, it's about play style, right? So when we start getting into the schematics, we start getting into the X's and O's of it. You know what I'm saying? A lot of criticism for our team about, of course, Matt Eberflus about losing the last game by 8 points, mind you. 8 points, mind you. But I think what a lot of fans don't realize is we're probably not going to try and beat the Packers the way they expect us to beat the Packers. Now, at some point, you know what I'm saying, maybe then, the shootout might be an acceptable method of taking it to that team up north. But in the interim, we're going to have to beat them the way we tried to beat them in the last game of the season. That was run the ball, take the air out of the ball, run the clock, own time of possession, and basically keep that offense off the field as much as possible until our quarterback matures, until he's in a place where now we can start slinging the rock all over the fields, 350, 400 yards, 5 tutties, you know what I'm saying, 5 rushing touchdowns like y'all think is going to happen, all that good stuff. You know what I'm saying? So I think we're on our way. But shout out to Montez for setting the precedence for us. And I think a lot of the guys in that locker room feel the same way. The linebacking core, the DB core, you know what I'm saying? I think these new safeties or a new safety going to come in. Like, this defense has to set the tone. They have to set the tone because that's where it's at. You know what I'm saying? And I would love to see Jordan Love, you know what I'm saying, getting up off the ground as many times as possible throughout the season in those rivalry games. So, like I said, shout out to Montez Sweat for laying down the law and really managing expectations, which is what we're trying to do today when it comes to our Caleb Williams takes. But before we get to that, got to talk about, you know what I'm saying, the plethora, and I'm not going down a list, but today, I think it was today, 6 hours ago, today, the Bears are still hosting 30 Visit, and today was Xavier Worthy, edge rusher from UCLA, lot 2, and then also center, or did they scratch Jackson Powers? Also visiting is Jackson Powers Johnson amongst that group. And then, I finally caved. Great that they're visiting, doing 30 visits with all these players, but we only have 4 picks right now. Does all the 30 visits tip Ryan Poles' hat in terms of, or his hands in terms of what he's going to do in the draft and trading back at 9 or whatever the case may be, or having a 2022 type draft? I don't know, but after caving, which I said I wasn't going to do with the PFF mock draft simulator, because like I said, man, I enjoy other people and watching other people's mocks. I'm just not a mock type of dude, you know what I'm saying? Because it's like, all these 50 million scenarios could happen and all this other stuff. But I broke down. And part of it is because I don't want to give PFF my money. I'm just going to call it how I see it. I'm going to call it how it is. I want to give PFF my money because PFF they do some crazy stuff with they stats, man. And I'm like, how y'all come up with this stuff? I'm going to call it stuff. So I'm like, bro, I'm not invested in a company that I just, you know what I'm saying? Like, come on. So I broke down. I did it. You know what I'm saying? I did the little subscription so I can do the whole mock draft. And I think on the Tuesday show before the draft, I'm actually going to do a mock. The Tuesday before the draft, I'm going to do a mock. I've done a few. I haven't sent them out. I'm not going to send them out. I'm not going to share them on X or Twitter. Just because I can, or I can't. I can, but I can't. I can, but I can't. No, I'm not. I'll save it for the show. But I'll say this about what I discovered in the mock situation, the mock scenarios that came up. It's really going to hinge, to me, the decision for Ryan Poles and staff is going to hinge on what's available at 9 when it pops up. You know what I'm saying? If it's a surefire answer, like if it's alt there, I know y'all heard me talk about Verse. I know y'all probably saw me tweet. If Verse is there, you got to take him. I love Verse. I'm just going to say it. I love how, love his bill. Me and the maestro, the maestro producer. I'm giving Julius the name Maestro, by the way, because I've been saying cue the intro Maestro for 2 years now, and I never had a maestro. I was the maestro. So Julius, you're officially the maestro. So I was talking to Maestro last week, earlier this week or whatever, about Jared Verse, and I said, we talked about his level of effort sometimes during the game. I said the right coach is gonna get him right in that effort, but the parts you can't teach, the parts that you can't train, dude has them. And the bill, hands, all that other stuff, the moves, and the fact that he's not easily blocked, I love that part of it. So I digress. I'm going back to the number 9 pick and what I think is going to be the key factor. The key factor is who's there at that point. So I'll probably like no duh, coach, right? The key factor is who there. I had a John Madden moment right there. The teams that scores the most points are going to win the game. That's a John Madden take for you back in the day. The team that scores the most points are going to win the game. No crap, John. No, it depends on who is there. If it's a definite blue chip player, like say Alt, right? I don't think you can pass up on that guy because it's a blue chip player. You can pass up on a blue chip player and trade down. I'm not sure where they're projecting. A lot of people are high on Rome Odunze. I'm not a Rome Odunze guy. You know what I'm saying? Throw tomatoes in the chat. I'm not saying I not like him. It's not that I don't like him. I don't think he's number 2 in this group of wide receivers in the draft, right? He's not number after Neighbors. I don't think he's number 3 even in this draft. That's just my opinion on it, right? I think I'm looking for guys strategically. I'm not talking about, is he good? Did he have good stats? All that other stuff in college. I'm thinking about if I was the coordinator, right? If I'm employing my playbook with what I know Shane likes to do offensively, who works well in concert with what we have, right? And I think that gets lost on a lot of fans because they're like, get this guy because, he's a good name or he's a good player and all this other stuff. A lot of times fans forget about the schematics. They forget about scheme fit. You know what I'm saying? They forget about scheme fit. Even when free agency, it's like, oh, sign this player, sign that player. What about the system we run? Does that matter? Do you think that'll matter in the big picture of things, right? And the guy that they select. So what if they get to a guy that you may think is a great player? You know what I'm saying? You might think he's a great player, but he's a better fit for a 3-4 defense versus a 4-3 defense. Or what if they get a guy, and people don't really think about this when it comes to receivers either, because there are some receivers that you need to do specific type of things that the guys that you may have may do or don't do, if that makes sense, right? They're specialists. So think about who we have in our wide receiver core. We got DJ, who can beat you with his speed, but he's not known for necessarily being a burner. He has speed, but he's a catch, break a tackle, and then house it type of dude. But yeah, you got to respect his speed, but it's like lining up off the rip. You know what I'm saying? Am I terrified of his speed? Probably not. Going to be that way with Keenan Allen at 30-something years old. We need some guys that could potentially stretch the defense, stretch the width of the field, and open things underneath for DJ and Keenan to work. Now, whether that turns out to be, dare I, the guys we have, Velus Jones and the other rookie, you know what I'm saying? But if you're going to draft a guy, make sure that it's going to be a guy that works in concert with the receivers you have. That's all I'm saying. Think about it. Having a guy just to have a guy is something else. Now, somebody else brought up trading up for Marvin Harrison Jr., which, man, I'm cool on it because to me, am I frozen? Am I frozen? Dang it, bro. What are we doing? Oh, man. What are we doing? To me, he can kind of do it all. Man, haven't had this happen for a while. We got to get this figured out. That's what I get for being fancy and going off screen. We're going to get this thing going. We're going to get it figured out. We'll be And there you have it, folks. The worst friend of any radio or media personality is dead air. Appreciate y'all hanging out with me. Listen, man, I'm trying to do too much over here. I'm trying to read my notes off of Twitter and manage this whole process at the same time. Hopefully y'all hanging out here. Yep. So getting a chance to see some of y'all notes in the chat. I'm gonna get to those in the section. But yes, so that's what I'm trying to say, man. Let's get back to the tape. It's about who's there, man. It's about who's there. I have my, you know what I'm saying? Listen, this is what I don't think. This is what probably where I get irritated. Let's have a family chat, bro. Let's talk as family real fast. This is what I get most irritated about with Bears fans when it comes to my takes, bro. I say it all over a team. I say it all the time. And I don't know if people just they dismiss that I'm a football guy or what, but I'm not just saying stuff to be saying it. This is what I'm trying to get to. I like Roma Dunze. You know what I'm saying? People like that. I'm like, bro, cool, whatever. But I question, if I have a question about scheme or system fit, if it works out and it comes out and does 100,000-yard receiver every year, okay. But when I visualize it, when I think about how I would design the offense, when I look at those guys, that's not the first guy I'm reaching for. And maybe that's the blind spot for me. Maybe I'm just thinking about my offense. But then that's when I try to transition and think about Shane and what Shane likes to do and what I've seen on film. And I'm like, all right, if you like the type of defense, right? For example, I'll give you an example. Probably I need to talk like this. You like to play too high safety as a defensive coordinator, right? Are DJ Moore, maybe I should ask more questions, right? With these takes. With DJ Moore, Keenan Allen, and Roma Dunze, is that going to force me out of too high? That's a better question. Y'all answer that in the chat for me, right? I think I need to do a better job. I'm critiquing myself. I need to do a better job of asking football questions. If you're a defensive coordinator, you like to play too high safety. Does DJ Moore, Keenan Allen, and Roma Dunze, is it going to force me out of what I like to do? Right? Or let me take that back. Let me flip that. That probably didn't make sense because it just didn't make sense to me just now. If you're a defensive coordinator like Green Bay's defensive coordinator, based off of my discussions with Isaiah, whatever his name, the cornerback, Elijah, I threw my paper away from the Senior Bowl. Elijah, the cornerback for BC, says DDC at Green Bay likes to run a lot of single high coverages, right? 8-man boxes, sim pressures. How does that force him? Does having DJ, Keenan, and Roma Dunze force him out of single high coverage? Can he still get away with that? Right. And I'm leaning towards yes with that is what I'm saying. So I say all of that before I bring our guests up real fast to say this. After doing a few sins, like I said, I'll share you know what I'm saying, mock the Tuesday before the draft. But here's my take, because people keep asking me what we should do at 9. I think best player available, right? As long as he's a blue chip player, best player available, as long as it's a blue chip player of a position of need. If it's not that, the default to is trade back. I'm not giving position no more, all that other stuff. Position of need, dog. And then if that's not it, if that's not the player that's available to you, and that player is not within 2 or 3 picks, 2 or 3 positions in the draft, go ahead and trade back. You know what I'm saying? That's the take on it. We'll talk about it more later, but I just wanted to just wanted to give my little soliloquy on that before I bring my guests up. You know what I'm saying? Again, one of my favorite Twitter personalities of people I like to talk ball with. You know what I'm saying? Somebody can get into the X's and O's conversation with me. I played the quarterback position. I kind of look at this as the coordinator and the Q conversation. We bring my guy Bishop up real fast, Maestro. Let's chat with him, man. Y'all welcome to the show. Bishop in the building. What up, man?
What's up, Coach? How you doing?
Man, I'm great, man. Welcome to the show, man. Welcome to Chicago Bears 360, man. I'm glad to have you on, bro. It's been a long time coming, huh?
Yeah, it's good to be here. Thanks for the invite, man.
That's what's up. That's what's up. I see you all dappered up, man. What you got going on today?
Yeah, just got off of work. Had a jet over, get my son real quick from school. But yeah, just it's my regular garb. I couldn't do it with the suit on today, man. It's too hot. So.
Bishop out there in Vegas. That's my old stomping ground for like 4.5 years. Once I returned from Japan, man, I'm stationed out there. Listen, Bishop, today's the Caleb Williams show. Since I got a Q on the show, let's talk Caleb Williams, man. Let's talk about realistic expectations for Caleb year one, man. What are your thoughts? Help the Bears fandom manage expectations, because I said this was going to happen. I said, in the event Justin Fields was traded away, we went with Caleb, that really quickly, I believe fans were going to go from, the ones that already were Calebites, right? They were going to double down on Caleb. And then the ones that weren't are going to say, Caleb better win the Super Bowl one, man. What is your timeline on it? Having kind of played the position, not kind of, but played the position, and understand all the nuance that goes into all the things that he's going to have to absorb over in the coming months.
Well, the first thing that you have to do at that position is adjust to the speed. Speed in high school, speed in college, and speed in NFL at 3 different tempos. I would say it's looking for that aha moment that for Caleb, when it comes with reps. That can happen in training camp. That can happen in the preseason. It can happen week 6 in the regular season. It's different for every quarterback. We saw, like, an example. I like to use this anomaly as a different set speed with CJ Stroud as of last season, right? Yeah, he struggled in the first game or so. I think they played the Ravens, but them playing the Ravens defense really opened up his knowledge to what he saw, right? The number 1 defense in the league, one of the fastest defenses laterally in the league. It woke him up. He had his welcome to the NFL rookie moment. With Trevor Lawrence, it took a few games, right? But with Caleb Williams, the most realistic timeline to have for him is, I would say, within after about a month, I call it the first quarter of the season, which is first 4 games, maybe 5 games. You should start to get a feel of what to see out there, right? Especially depending on schedule, who you playing, what schemes that they're playing. So first thing you got to look for is adjustment to speed. Second is, I would say, understanding terminology within the offense. This is where Shane Waldron's effect of the offense as a coach really comes into fruition. Is, hey, how much can Caleb handle? Pretty much, right? He's going to find this out in the OTAs and in mini camps when I believe early May. That's when you're going to start seeing, okay, you're going to see live 7-on-7, 11-on-11s. Even though they're not going to be padded, it's going to see, okay, what can you read from this, and what do you see here? What makes you feel most comfortable? So there's going to be the adjustment from the coach to the player, right? What Shane Waldron is going to see out on that field, he's going to then bring into the classroom. For those that are unfamiliar with the schedule of NFL players, you have, of course, first the warm up. You have before you even hit the field, you have the expectations. All positions meet with the coach, and then you go out to warm up. You do your practices, and then you go back into the classrooms and figure out, okay, on tape, what do we see here? So it really comes down to how Shane what he sees from training camp and mini camp, what is going to stick in that offense, what really molds to who Caleb Williams is, and what's going to help him out based on back and forth. So realistically, with those two things in mind, I would with what Shane Waldron has done in the talent level of what Caleb Williams does. I would personally, I would give Caleb 6 gamers or less to really have that moment to catch up, be like, okay, I got it.
Yeah. I've had a similar take. You know what I'm saying, to it. I'm probably given a lot more grace than others, because from the OC standpoint, and this was my take, man, the whole time. I don't know how people confuse it, or they got selective hearing or whatever, it doesn't matter. My biggest concern with going with Caleb Williams, and yet again today, somebody tagged me in something that had to do with playing in structure. You know what I'm saying? I could care less about playing in structure, people. I don't care about playing in structure. That wasn't my take. Playing in structure is different than playing in a different offense than what I think Shane likes to do, right? But to your point and to others' point about the offensive coordinator's plan, it's on Shane for me, right? It's on Shane for me of taking and already understanding pre-meetings what he likes to do or what he did at USC, the air raid and RPO stuff, and saying, okay, cool, this is what I know you can do, right? And probably having a plan. We talk about development. Nobody can ever quantify what it means to develop a quarterback. What is your plan to bring him along from what he did in college to the full progression reads that it requires to beat NFL coverages on a consistent basis in the NFL? So I think if Shane comes in and says, all right, cool, the plan is, all right, we're going to take a large portion of what you did. First of all, I'm going to take a step back and say, my first part of this is we're going to run the ball. We're going to run the ball. We're going to control the clock. We're going to run the ball. We're going to establish a run, and we're going to play through these running backs. And to support that run game, we're going to have a large portion of what you did in college at USC, the RPO game, as a huge portion at the beginning of the season, right? And then slowly ramp that thing up into saying, okay, we're giving you a little bit more throughout the season. But I think what you're saying about seeing what he does in camp will give him a great indicator as to how much and how soon he can give him. The big part for me is I think fans get messed up on, I think we had this discussion before, Bishop, on an individual pass play, right? And all the variants of coverages he could see off of that. So say if he just goes with one of his traditional NFL progression reads, right? And this is a straight up drop back pass, no RPO concepts included. That one play can see a bunch of different coverages. That's the part that I'm anxious to see for Caleb, but I don't want to see it early. I'm admittedly, like, I'm going in full defense mode for Caleb already. I don't want to see it that early because I'm afraid of what might happen if it doesn't turn out right, and how I know our fan base can be. Talk to me about that last point a little bit and how you feel about that.
Me personally, I think you absolutely hit the nail on the head with it. You want to give a quarterback, especially some of Caleb's caliber, something easy to digest as far as like what he's used to. As far as the RPOs concern from is I would say there are points where you do test out. There is a drive or two, depending on the flow of the game, where you want to kind of see your quarterback react to certain things. Where it's like, okay, if maybe a zone read, right, may be the more appropriate thing that you do. Because one thing that that Caleb Williams that I love about his training team, the way he trains and everything, is deliberate. Everything is trained on certain situations. Whereas, okay, like, what do you do in this situation if you're throwing like let's say People want to talk about in structure, out of structure. Let's be honest. When you're in the NFL, I would say less than 30% of your plays are in structure, because everybody's so talented on defense, and you just have to be able to, roll with the punches in that situation. I wouldn't be surprised if they threw some RPO concepts at least 3 times in the first game, and then start to ramp it up just a little bit, just so that he can see certain tendencies from the Mike linebacker, the Sam linebacker, the safeties, something that Shane loves to do, pre-snap reads as far as motions and all that stuff, and just kind of having Caleb see that, whether he fails or succeeds at it, at those reps are reps, whether they're bad reps. Caleb has that mindset to where he can build off of negativity, and when you have good reps, you can continue to build from there anyways, and try to kind of complex the read from the offensive side of it. So yeah, he can. It's a damned if you do, damned if you don't. And in that case where you don't want to throw the hard stuff out there, but you kind of want to sprinkle it in there just to see how Caleb reacts. And if it doesn't work, then as a coaching staff, then you talk amongst yourselves. This is the result. Are we ready to do that yet? No. So let's keep it simple and keep feeding him more terminology, more play reads, more coachings where Eberflus is going to sit down with Caleb in those rooms and say, look, this is how you can tell when a single high becomes a cover 3. You look at X, Y, and Z. One thing that that have learned, one thing that I learned playing in high school is that cornerbacks are going to lie to you, right?
Yeah.
So
cornerbacks lie, safety.
Yep, yeah, exactly. Safeties tell the truth. Safeties honestly sell their defenses. They don't realize if they do. But can Caleb, from coaching, can Caleb pre-snap read correctly from what he sees from the safeties, from the outside linebackers, and see what he goes from there, and that will determine his comfortability with that situational play, whether it's RPO or zone read.
Absolutely. That's why the emphasis for me, and I said this earlier, I think I in between work, I tweeted, listen, the emphasis for me is learning from the Luke Getsy situation. The emphasis for me for this first season for Caleb is not on Caleb. Listen, what Caleb does. I expect Caleb to do as a rookie. I want to see what Shane is doing with Caleb and being able to report that to this audience and say, okay, this is after 3 or 4 games. This is what I believe the approach is based off of what I'm seeing off of film. And you make a great point. As an offensive coordinator, I defaulted to talking about RPOs, but I'm not running. If Shane is doing his job correctly, he's not running the RPO, having not set it up off of the zone read play, right? So, like you said, talking about safety and cornerback play, I'm going to run that zone read with a good running game, right? From Swift, from RJ, I'm going to run that running game, and if it's working, I'm going to kill you with that running game, and then I'm going to toss in maybe on some down and distance situations so we don't get our quarterback blown up, maybe a 3rd and 1 or something like that, or inside the 10 to go to score situations. I'll say, all right, this might be a sneaky good play call right now. Let me throw a zone read in there right now because I'm seeing from the booth or my fellow coaches are telling me they're not accounting for the quarterback. So let me call a zone read, let them keep one, you know what I'm saying, and gas the defense that way. Okay, now when you start matching the linebacker with the quarterback or the safety with the quarterback on the zone read and the keep, and you leave it back there and see single high safety, and you leave things open on the back end, now I'm open up with my RPO game and say, okay, now we're playing chess. I'm beating you mentally and strategically. I'm not worried about the tactical elements that's happening on the field with Caleb. I expect him to do what he's doing as a rookie. I'm creating guardrails, so to speak, for him to play within a small framework, right? And then, you know what I'm saying, as you mentioned, Bishop, testing that framework throughout the course of a game, throughout a course of a series of games or series and or for the season, right? That part of it, I think is a critical part of it, and watching what Shane what Shane does with Caleb, how do you think you know what I'm saying, the fans will manage though? Well, because when we talk about ball, you know what I'm saying, oftentimes like we understand the process, right? We understand all that goes into the patience required. But like you said, you mentioned, you know what I'm saying, it's gonna be some knucklehead moments. It's gonna be some stuff. Are we prepared though? This is for me, a lot of times, this is where frustration is set in as a quote unquote media person, when it comes to covering the team, because it's like, well, why isn't he throwing for 350, four tutties and running for, you know what I'm saying, 150 yards per game day one? Like, you know, like, what is that part? Talk to the people about that part, because they hear me say it all the time. You know what I'm saying? And you, like, again, you don't feel pressure to agree. If you feel it, see it a little bit differently, you know what I'm saying? Describe it. I'm all for it.
My thing is, from the fans' perspective, I would say it's easy to get frustrated when you don't know the whys. And I know Bears fans get the PTSD from the whole Matt Nagy, knowing the whys, but the reasoning behind like why it takes rookies, some time to get to that point. It's understandable when, you can see some, I guess, frustration from the fan base of why a certain expectation isn't being met. Hey, he's this skilled player. He's a Heisman. If he meets challenges, he was doing this in college. Why isn't it not? Well, the thing is, it just comes from the fact that everybody's different when it comes to development. I do expect the majority of fan bases to kind of roll with the punches, understand that he's a rookie. And, there are going to be, those fantasy goers, those fantasy footballers, or I would say, some Madden players, and no disrespect to them at all. They just see the game differently. But just from a human perspective, when you're looking at numbers, that human aspect is kind of lost when you base your passion is based from numbers. There will be a sect of people, of Bears fans, that will be upset that he's not throwing for 300 yards a game, that he may his game, there's a game where he may have a touchdown to interception ratio that people may not like. Hey, he may throw 1 touchdown, 3 interceptions. Even if we get the win, people may think that, blah, blah, blah. Like, he's
trash. Throw the whole quarterback away. Like,
it's like you can't do that, because the thing is, one thing, I mean, everybody has bad games. It's about how a person bounces back, right? The one thing I think that people did love about Justin Fields was when he got hit, he got back up, right? And people want to see that level of toughness, if not more, or just a caliber of toughness from a quarterback that I think Caleb Williams has shown. Like it was said, we talk about the Notre Dame game. And the reason why that Notre Dame game was so important, especially how Ryan Poles evaluated Caleb Williams, it was reported that, hey, they ran a different type of scheme specifically for the quarterback. So that's why, there was struggle, because that, like, based on what they were seeing on film and film studies, it wasn't what they were seeing on the field. So there was an adjustment period there. You saw struggle, but you also saw how he handled it, right? And you want to see how your quarterback handles adversity. So the biggest thing is from just the outside looking in, you can expect some fans to not understand that rookie transition from college to the NFL.
Yeah, that's go ahead. I'm sorry.
No, I was
going to say that's what scares me. Like I don't know. I don't need, somebody said you subtweet, coach. I don't know. What is subtweeting, by the way?
It's subliminal tweeting.
Oh, okay. Like, I don't even know what that is. Like, y'all know me well enough to know I ain't sub doing shit. Pardon the cussing. Like, I'm coming straight off the cuff, like, on the dumb. Yeah, if I do it, it's to protect, I don't know, the innocent. But anyway, it's not deliberate. It's definitely because I ain't running from nothing. But no, of course, if y'all follow Eric X or whatever, y'all follow the usual suspects. it concerns me because, like, for example, today I responded to a whole, he's been doing a series of,
Mm.
you know,
Good morning
Caleb
tweets.
highlights, right? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Good morning. And I'm like, bro, this is cool. I'm seeing these on my timeline and it's cool. And this is highlights. And he's going crazy in these highlights. And for me, it's not that I'm hating on Caleb, but I'm like, bro, y'all need to cool y'all jets. Y'all need to cool y'all jets because, first of all, it's a different caliber athlete that you're about. I'm not saying he's not going to do it at some point, but it's a different type of dude he finna see on that defensive line, them linebackers. And you know what I'm saying? When you start going up against defensive coordinators like the dude down in Tampa, like they gonna really test you. So I'm like, listen, all that is good. It's cool. Hope he lights the league up. But you know what I'm saying, temper expectations. And of course, I don't expect, you know what I'm saying, all fans to be like, blah, 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 this, that, and the other. I just don't think, I don't want us to see us do another whole Justin Fields situation where 3 games, 3 bad games, everybody's out on the kid, and we're already looking forward to the 2025 draft. Oh, what is Shedeur Sanders doing? Blah, blah, blah. Like that part, man, we gotta,
Realistic.
yeah, like,
Yeah.
So here's the take for the hearing impaired, right? 18 game season, right? That's what we at now, right? These days, 18 games.
Mm-hmm.
Watch this. If Shane, to me, if he does it right, weeks 14, I'll stretch the window out a little bit. I'll say weeks 12 to 18 is when I'm expecting to see a much more mature Caleb Williams and him starting to flash and us seeing the player that everybody's expecting to see. I'm trying to help the fans out and helping you manage your expectations. I was saying week 14 to 18. I'm stretched the window a little bit. Say weeks 12 to 18 is when I'm expecting to see them plays where you say, all right, dude, the game is slowed down to him. He's starting to see the coverages, the windows, the coverages a little bit better. That's if Shane is designing things the right way. And then towards the end of this first season, along with a playoff push, he's starting to step up, and we're starting to see the dude that we want to see as an NFL quarterback. Everything before that, I expect a little bit of up and down. And the barometer I have, the measuring stick for that, the example I'm having for this, Bishop, is watching Matt LaFleur with Jordan Love last year. Jordan Love, the first game versus us and the last game, and watching him throughout the season, like you see, he kind of, Matt LaFleur got to the point where it was like, okay, I'm asking you to do the minimum stuff. All right, just get me to third through the run game, get me to third and short, and just make a good play on third. He got to the point in the season where, like you said, Bishop, he tested him and said, okay, I need to put some stuff on your shoulders. And that's why I think a lot of Packers fans didn't see. He was struggling because Matt was giving him more stuff. But it was really to prepare him for who he became at the end. And so that's the measuring stick. I would love to hear your thoughts on that kind of path or to development and playing for Caleb Williams.
Yeah, I honestly, I look at it as like, yeah, if he has 3 bad games in a row, go into the film room, go into the lab, work on those things, because you learn more from failure than you do from success. So get the bad games out the way, and get the really bad games out the way, because there are going to be some really bad games, and there's going to be some kind of games where it just he just fell short. Again, that goes based on how Caleb practices. He practices deliberately. How do you like his pocket awareness? He practices drifting and shuffling. For those who don't know, drifting is the act of moving laterally. Shuffling is moving vertically, right?
Mm-hmm.
And a lot of his reps, when you see from college, is him moving laterally or drifting. So if there is a situation where he's not doing fast enough because the defensive pressure comes a little bit quicker than he does in college. He's going to be working on that. He's going to be working on his reset to, the things that he may have been struggling on. That's what he's going to attack, right? To clean it up pretty much. That's going to be based on coaching and his tenacity, which he's shown that he's very tenacious. I encourage struggle, because when you bring it to philosophy, when you fail, you want to fail forward, and you want to fail often to find success, right? Think about when you go to the gym, all the gym is just controlled failure,
Right.
Until you can push a certain rep, until you can push weight and then continuously getting better. So people have to tailor their expectations to losing isn't necessarily a characteristic of a faulty product or a bad quarterback. It's how the person bounces back, and do they get better? If they look better from the last game, say Caleb struggled with avoiding pressure. All right. If the next game he does better with it, with extending plays, keeping plays alive, living for the next down, it's a success, right? So, again, deliberate reps, deliberate practices, everything that has to tailor with going back into the lab and taking from what you do on the field, relaying that back to your coach, with Shane, and Shane saying, okay, this is what we're going to do. He's going to give him that clipboard, or I'm sorry, that iPad now, and say, okay, this is
That's
what
old
we
school,
saw.
by the way. He said clipboard.
Yeah, no, so they're gonna get that Microsoft pad now, right?
Yeah.
And they're gonna see from the pictures to the clip art from the booth. They're gonna say, okay, from this situation, this is what we saw. This is what you did. What could you have done differently?
Right.
And what would you be more comfortable? And this is when you rehash those conversations. What Caleb is more comfortable and what he's least comfortable with. Now, say there's a situation where, okay, well, Caleb, you say you're least comfortable with this, but that situation would have worked for this situation. Then you got to prepare them. So we're going to throw that in there in your cadence during your play calling. We're going to throw this scenario in there. We're going to see how you do. So when that comes about, and say he succeeds, then you're going to create a more savvy quarterback, he's going to have that certain step into him where he's going to be like, okay, I got it now. Like this is why we do this in said situation. With Jordan Love's things, he played at the beginning of the season, he played way too safe, right? He was playing to not turn the ball over, right? So Matt LaFleur put him in situations where it's like, look, you got big guys, you got short-handed receivers, right? Give him an opportunity. So that's why you see more of his reps. If you look back at his film, there was a lot more contested throws, right? There was a lot more contested catches, more tight window throws of him trusting his wide receivers, because if you continue to play safe, you're not really trusting the personnel that's around you, or you're not really trusting yourself in that situation. So there's some reps that you just got to rip that ball.
Yeah.
You just have to, it's just like any sport. There's some things you just have to gut it. So as the season progressed last year with Jordan Love, we saw him trusting his receivers more. We saw the fruits of his labor. You saw what he was putting out on film, what he was putting out in practice show up on the field. And then guess what? You see a playoff berth. You see a competent quarterback. You see a quarterback. You see a situation where it's like, wow, for the last 20 years, you've had, ever since I've known football, I came in with Brett Favre, all right? And there's Aaron Rodgers. Now it's looking like Jordan Love.
They got another one. So, yeah. I again, man, I give, of course, you know what I'm saying, I'm a coach, so I gotta keep in line with the fraternity, man. I'm not a Green Bay fan at all, but I'm talking about in terms of coaching chops, man, Matt LaFleur is probably becoming my second favorite coach when it comes to offensive football in the league after Kyle Shanahan, because I can't fight the program, bro. The program is the program, and then having a platoon of wide receivers, and then if you sit back and actually watch, the windows the plays that he designs, the route concept he's designing, where guys are running to, Jordan can just release a pass into a space, and then guys come out of the window into the window to catch the ball. That's play design, man. That's play design. Let's shift real quick, Bishop, to To talking about what Caleb has around him, man. And this is another. So my first thing is, all right, what is Shane's program? The second thing is, do we have the dogs, the required dogs, up front? Question marks versus exclamation mark across the front five to protect the kid, because here we go again, right? In the umpteen year history of the Chicago Bears having to develop a quarterback, and there seems to be a philosophy between Ryan, Simo, and Ian that, oh yeah, we're better at identifying offensive line talent than anybody in the league because maybe perhaps we played the position, whatever the reason is. We have Braxton Jones, fifth rounder, serviceable. I'm not down on Braxton Jones. I think he's trending upward, right? There's nothing to say that he's trending the opposite of upward. So, like I said in the previous show, squat rack, deadlifts, power cleaning, you know what I'm saying? You putting that good strength on, he'll be fine. Serviceable this year. Tevin Jenkins, often injured, but a dog. I don't know what the issue is at center. I don't know what are we looking at center right now? It's a couple guys that have experience, but I want a dog up there. If we're going to have him run it back with this rookie quarterback, why put him through the same stuff? And then we have a guy that spent most of the season at right guard dealing with, what is stuff he had to deal with. That's life, and then you get to Darnell Wright and you're like, okay, cool. We got to just have to continue developing him. Like, what are you thinking with just that position group, you know what I'm saying, around Caleb and their ability to get it done? I just don't – we've seen this too many times, and I'm like, bro, here we go again. Maybe. I don't know.
No, it's understandable to have, question marks or doubt when it comes to the trenches. What I would say is I do believe what we have at the front five. I do think it's enough to start off for a rookie quarterback. I never believed in, there are some people that wanted to draft a center in this year's draft. I never believe in pairing a rookie center with a rookie quarterback. That's, can it work?
Say it again for the people in the back, Bishop, please.
Pairing a rookie center with a rookie quarterback.
Let's pause. Right, we got to get into that. Because I always say it, and people be like, but JPJ or this guy. Let's talk about that, because you are a quarterback. I say all the time, I don't like rookie tackles and rookie left tackles and rookie centers. Let's talk about that. Let's talk about. Yeah, go ahead.
Let's talk about what are the jobs for, for a center.
Center just snaps the ball, Bishop. He only hikes the ball.
It's hilarious. So for those who don't know, a center is responsible for recognizing the front seven as well, right? To see who's coming, to communicate that to the quarterback. So if he needs to shift blocking design, he can do so. A center for those who remember Olin Kreutz, he was notorious for doing this. He was notorious for reading zero or Mike blitzes to communicate that to Jay Cutler, Kyle Orton, Rex Grossman. The center's job is to recognize the front seven. As a as a quarterback, I will be, my thing is if I'm approaching the line, I'm looking over the line of scrimmage. I'm looking at where that middle linebacker is telling me. I'm looking at what the outside linebackers are telling me. I'm looking at the alignment of the corners, the two outside corners. I'm looking at they're bringing the free safety up. I'm looking at where the safeties are lining up. The center, as they're bringing it to the ball, is looking at the defensive line alignment and the linebacker alignment. If they see something off, they're going to tell me, Robert, blitz or blah, 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 like, whatever the cadence is. Right. I look at that, I check that, and we go from there.
We almost have a meeting without saying we're having a meeting. You're the quarterback, I'm the center, right? So you go up, you read safety depth leverage, right? Safeties, count the safeties, cornerback depth and leverage, right? I come up front seven, I'm reading the defensive alignment, I'm counting numbers, down linemen, the backers, right? And if we got a pass protection on you in the gun, I'm calling out the mic. I'm sliding scat protection to either the left or right, and my offense is a rain call or it's a lightning call to the left. We slide protection. We're going 3x2 to the right. We're going 3x2 to the left, and it's almost like you and I are having a conversation. You're behind me as a quarterback, and it's almost like we're having a conversation without having a conversation. You got that in, I got this in, and we meet in the middle, and we all have to be, you and I at least, have to be on the same sheet of music, right? Kind of in a nutshell, right? And if either one of us are off, if either one of us is off,
whole play is dead.
soup sandwich, football bat. You know what I'm saying?
Yep.
You know what I'm saying? Basically, is what you're going to get. Results of the play is what we're getting at, and what we're alluding to is, okay, a center. Similar to my take about Caleb, coming out of the air raid offense, every center don't have that depth or breadth of responsibility coming out of college, depending on what system he played in. If you're an air raid center, for an example, just like if you're an air raid quarterback, there aren't the elongated play calls and responsibility. Like for the center, it's pretty much down the middle. It's kind of the same, but the quarterback is more expansive, is more broad, but still, y'all still have to have that communication level and meeting in the middle and jiving. And I think the reason why we go with this patchwork of veteran centers, if you will, is for that reason. Let me get a dude in here that speaks the language, that knows the system, speaks the language, but also can get my quarterback right. Sorry, I didn't mean to. You got me excited, Bishop, man.
No, you do. This is how Discord. This is what this show is for that discussion, to have that back and forth just like that. Because like I would like to give the audience an example, right? Everybody remembers that first play when we played against the Vikings in Chicago.
Yeah,
that's the result of getting that communication wrong. That when Justin was communicating with his center, they got one of the blitzes wrong. They believed that the strong safety that crept up, right, was going to be the blitzer, and that the outside linebacker who ended up teeing off on Justin was going to be the one that was going to drop back into coverage, because DJ Moore would have been wide open. So you're thinking, as a quarterback, there's no way they're selling this situation where it's like, I have DJ Moore to the left. He's wide open. So if he runs this cross route, this is the automatic 8 yards right here. He has all this room. So there's no way that's a blitz. He's dropping back into coverage and baiting me. So let's slide protection to the right. First read goes to the right. Guess what? Nobody's there in 2 seconds. That's a free blitzer coming up on my, from my blind side. That's the result. Oh, go ahead.
No, go ahead. Finish your thought. Because I have another example.
That's the result of just making one misread, right? You're supposed to communicate and validate the back and forth, but having one misread results in something like that, and it sets the tone for the rest of that game.
I'm thinking that's a great example, by the way. I'm thinking of the Buffalo preseason game where Justin gets totally blasted,
annihilated,
and everybody's like, what the hell just happened? I present to you explanation A, X, Y, and Z, as my British colleagues like to call it, Z, X, Y, and Z, as to why that happens, right? Because center quarterback communication experience is that part of it is so nuanced. It's so important to getting this thing right. What about the other positions, Bishop, up front that you like key to me? I know TJ's coming up on a contract year. Like, dude, like I love Tevin Jenkins, man, but I need you to stay on the field. And then he didn't end the season all that great. Like that last game was a disaster for him. I hope that set with him the whole offseason, because he looked like shit. I'm just gonna call it what it is. He looked terrible. Go ahead, Bishop.
I do like Tevin Jenkins. I think the position of key that we have, I would say I'm more keyed on the guard positions than I am on the tackle positions. I think, we struck gold with Darnell Wright. Braxton Jones, 5th round, coming out the 5th round, that's a value pick. But the guard positions, as a quarterback, I would say I'd rather deal with outside pressure than interior pressure, because it's a little bit it's a little bit more to read,
Right.
and to adjust and reset in the pocket. With outside pressure, that's a simple shuffle move. Or if you want to step back and eliminate the pocket itself and just roll out, right? That's a common practice that I mean, if you look at Caleb Williams highlights or his film, he does well at escaping the pocket if he needs to. He also does well at drifting and shuffling to where he's staying within the hash marks, and that way he can still make said throws at different arm angles, right? But the thing is, interior pressure coming from at the NFL level is vastly different. I would say the defensive tackles in the NFL are at defensive end speed in college, right? So it's about the adjustments. I'd rather everything from our guards be solidified. I would honestly, Tevin Jenkins, I would give him a prove it year type of contract before I sign him to something that's long term.
Because right.
Yeah, because I think Tevin Jenkins is a great talent. I think he's a rare talent. I think he's ferocious. That's something you need. You need what's the term? You need not a pit bull, but you need a Cane Corso at that position. You need that level of dog in them, right? So I give, because of he's what's terms of a glass cannon, right? He does very, very well when he's on the field. But
I like the term glass cannon.
Yeah, the glass cannon. Like, he's powerful, but man, as soon as he gets shattered, man, like, again, the best ability is availability in football. And Tevin Jenkins is very good when he's available. Nate Davis, there's a lot that he went through this past offseason. He lost his mother. He went through some illnesses, but he went, there was a couple of reports saying he was fighting bouts of depression. So there's a lot that goes into bouncing back from real life situations, because NFL players aren't just players, they're human beings. And but it's still on him to take that energy, what he's feeling, and channel it into something that's positive. He can come back from his situation. His adjustment period is going to be for the rest of his life. There's no, it's going to take him this long to bounce back. No, like, it's going to take the rest of his life to bounce back just as a human being. Whether it's football, though, it depends. We saw what Brett Favre happened on the eve of his father's passing. He took that and just lit up the Raiders.
Right.
So
yeah, some dudes have that. They have that ability to channel whatever their feelings and thoughts are on the situations. You know what I'm saying? It's probably one of my toxic traits. Me and my wife talk about all the time. If you say I can't do something, it's almost like I need you to say you can't do this, or you're not gonna be good at that. I love, you know what I'm saying? Sometimes it takes a little Twitter hate or X tweet. Oh, like, okay, we're gonna double down on what we're doing. We're gonna work harder. We're gonna build a team. We're bringing the best guests on the show. We doing what we doing. You know what I'm saying? You doubting us? We up next. You know what I'm saying? That type of deal. I'm gonna ask you this one more question about the offense real fast, Bishop. Does this wide receiver core, as presently constructed, does it scare you if you were a defensive coordinator?
Not necessarily scare me. Does it kind of stress me out a little bit? Yeah, but it doesn't necessarily scare me. I would say Shane Waldron runs a 12 personnel, I believe. 11, 12 personnel. I would say that pick at 9. I do believe what the Chargers do dictates who the Bears get at number 9, who's available there. Barring some trade ups and trade downs. I do think that pick should be a wide receiver.
You said at 9?
Yeah.
Okay.
At 9. I think it should be a wide receiver personally. Just because last year's draft, I would say the last couple of drafts have been geared towards Eberflus's defense.
Right.
So getting a quarterback wide receiver pairing, whether it's Roma Dunze, Malik Neighbors, or trading up to get Marvin Harrison Jr. I think the goal with this offseason has been so far is making sure that Caleb has as many weapons as possible to make the transition easier. Because think about it, we have DeAndre Swift, right? DeAndre Swift is an excellent option when it comes to check downs, especially in the RPOs. DeAndre Swift, because he's such a dynamic runner, RPOs become that much more scary, right?
Right.
And we have DJ
now, we
Moore
definitely can have a scary run game. That part,
yes.
I would put a paycheck on it. That part I expect us to definitely have a scary run game.
I know 100%. I would say DJ Moore, we know who he is.
Right.
Keenan Allen, he's only getting better with age, right? I think having that young guy coming in as that insurance policy, think about if you got somebody like Malik Neighbors or if you got somebody like Roman Dunze, right? Learning under DJ Moore, learning under Keenan Allen.
Yeah.
Being in that wide receiver room, you already see that talent. Now you have that knowledge on top of that. It's only going to make that so much more. So I'm not saying don't. I personally, the fact is, I'm gonna be happy no matter who we pick at number 9, because the reality is picks 1 through 10, any one of those players, I mean, history will show you, have trajectory changing abilities for franchises. The fact that we have 2 of them, number 1 and a number 9, it's just, to me, that's like, a lot of fans are faulting on the fact, we only have 4 picks. I'm like, I think 1 pick in the top 10 equates to 2 picks as far as capital. So to me, it's like, okay, we have 2 picks outside the top 10. We have number 1, number 9. To me, that's the value of 4 picks altogether, because when you look at the totality of the averages of draft capital and what draft picks pan out and what don't, it's usually 20% is the average, right? So out of 10 players that we pick, 2 usually pan out. Right.
That's an interesting way of looking at it. Really, top 10 picks are 2 for 1. I never heard anybody say that before. Top 10 picks are 2 for 1. You mentioned the wide receiver, hoping to get a wide receiver there. You called out some names, even drafting up for Marvin Harrison Jr. or trading up for Marvin Harrison Jr., which I'm a fan of. If we do it again, it has to be a dog, no matter who we get. I want us to get a dog, a dominant player, whether it's offense, defensively. This is what I'm kind of taken away from the Justin Fields decision and choice to go away with Caleb Williams. And then everything, all the discussions, nuanced discussions around it. This is where I'm at with the whole situation with the Bears. I did a whole show at the end of the season connected to the Detroit Lions and their timing of them, quote unquote, swinging, right? Swinging. The swing is for the Super Bowl. It's a Super Bowl swing. And I think based off of what I'm seeing, this is it. This is Ryan Poe's Super Bowl swing. And when I say Super Bowl swing, I'm saying this is it, saying you're really definitively saying the rebuild outside of the quarterback position is over. We're not in design and development mode. We're in production. This is a team I'm rolling, trying to get that Lombardi trophy. And this is who we're rolling with. How do you feel about that part of it? And do you believe this is indeed the swing? So these 4 players plus the 8 picks we have next year should equal a Super Bowl within the next 3 years.
Yes, I agree with that. Actually, that sentiment of, hey, Brian Poles even said it best himself. He said last year we are 70% built, right?
Right.
Them changing the option at quarterback, right? And getting, because we saw what we got on defense. We saw how strong the defense, finished the season as top 5, right? And for playoffs, you need to be a top 10, top 5 caliber defense to handle some of these quarterbacks that you're going to be going up against in the playoffs. I believe that this year, depending on who they go with in the draft, especially, you know, free agency, all that stuff, and who we come out with, what it will come down to is, I say, and this is why I say wide receiver, because you're looking for the long term. You know, Keenan Allen, you know, he's gonna be 32. You know, obviously he's not here for the long run of things. So you want him to establish that knowledge into the young guys, so that life without Keenan is almost almost unnoticeable, right? So I believe that once the quarterback is established, everything's figured out, everything seems like they're gelling, I think you start to focus on, is this a team that's going to be contending for a Super Bowl every single year, right? And that's the thing. People want to say Super Bowl or bust. You got to get to the playoffs first.
Right.
And you increase the Super Bowl appearances by, if you're in the playoffs every year, your probability of getting to a Super Bowl or multiple Super Bowls goes up. Because it's like, are you a one Super Bowl and I just need one championship and I'm done? Or are you trying to build a dynasty? I'm trying to see multiple Super Bowls.
That's what I want. I'm like, I get the, listen, I get the I get the need and the desire, the want for Bears fans to have a franchise style quarterback, because let's face it, man, having a franchise quarterback for a fan base is a badge of honor. Everybody want to know, hey, we're going to the battle every Sunday, or Monday or Thursday or whatever case may be, with our general, our field general. We, you know, you're proud fan base when you got a dude under center. I think is why we're a lot of times so critical of the quarterback position. But I really, you know, wanted to nail that part of it down for the fan base. Bishop, this has been a great discussion, man. I enjoy having you on the program. Listen, this is what we're gonna do. It's a tradition, bro. We got to slide to the DM section to take some questions, some comments, and address them for a few minutes. And now, while we do that, Bishop, I want you to think about this part of it, because this is your first time on Chicago Bears 360. But I'm gonna have you back though. This is not a one appearance deal, because I'm vetting some talent, man. Because one, I need to make space for when I can't be here, that we continue the program going. If in the event I can't be here, that somebody can take over and host and talk ball and all that other stuff. And they do it in the lane that we do it. But I want you to think about this as we slide to the DMs. You get to hand out a Drunk Uncle Award. You get to hand out a Drunk Uncle Award, buddy. We all know drunk uncles are the crazy folks, man. The people that get too loose, man, with takes. I don't know, just wild, man, wild in whatever situation. So I'm gonna ask the maestro Julius to cue us up for the DM section. Let's slide over there. Let's go.
Did you get like some crazy DMs or what?
Very
Surprises or no?
It's like blue check marks.
Yeah, like
people who be sliding, and I'm like, wow, y'all fuck with me like that.
Y'all rock with us like this. Chicago Bears 360, Coach T and Bishop, the Bishop. Bishop, that's your real first name? That's your government first name?
No, sir.
No,
sir. The story behind that nickname, actually, y'all remember Tupac from Juice, right?
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So
yeah.
There was this thing where it's during practice and everything. I had this stern look on my face, and people thought that it reminded them of like Tupac when he was in the elevator, just looking at old boy. They saw that. From then they just started calling me Bishop.
Oh, that's wild. That's wild. Yeah. One of my favorite movies, by the way. You know what I'm saying? The Gen X's, man. You know what I'm saying? If you came up in the 90s, I gotta admit, bro, we had some of the best movies, bro. Yeah, you know what I'm saying? Shoes, Boys in the Hood. That's why I always got my print tees when I'm stepping. I like to rep my generation. I like to represent the 90s whole hip hop era. It's toxic, but that's like they said, bro. It was dangerous, but it was lit. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Oh yeah.
It was definitely dangerous, but lit. But we're in the DM sections. Let's see what we got back there, Maestro. Who what we talking about in the comment section, man? Let's slide up there. So Richard Long said Caleb's needs to be required only to do Brock Purdy type things. I'm gonna let you take that one, Bishop.
So you gotta define what Brock Purdy type things are, and that's Brock Purdy doesn't make, like, a lot of the throws that he makes aren't the easy throws They're
Right.
not. You know, they're the 5-step drop back, and look to. It's really Brock Purdy works from the outside into the field, right?
Right.
So, it's not real. They're not asking Brock Purdy to do the most simplest things because that's not how you get to the Super Bowl. That's not how you, you become a winning program. They're asking Brock Purdy to just run the offense best to his ability by Kyle Shanahan. So, asking him to do Brock Purdy things isn't saying to be simple. It's just to take what the defense is giving you. And,
Right.
when you got weapons like Brandon Ayuk, George
Debo.
Kittle, Debo Samuels, Christian McCaffrey, it's very easy to take what the defense gives you and find the opening seams of a zone coverage or man-to-man or a fire blitz. It's just Brock Purdy, he's not a bad quarterback, just because he was Mr. Irrelevant. But I mean, what he shows is just like, with Tom Brady, with all these quarterbacks, that the NFL draft is very different from other sports drafts, that you can find talent anywhere
Right.
in the draft. So don't count these guys out just because of where they're picking from.
Yeah. It's I liken it to the NFL draft and the system and coach match to a DNA test, ancestry type deal, bro. You know what I'm saying? You get drafted into the right system and it's the right DNA that match. And then what do we have? We have a baby. Use the pappy. You know what I'm saying? You have success. And you know what I'm saying? That the success is you being the pappy, so to speak. Now it needs to be a DNA match. You know what I'm saying? And that's a hard thing for these GMs to master and nail down. It's more art than science. And I think you made a good point. And I dare I get away from this program without talking about my coaching, the coach God for me. I know he can't even win a Super Bowl yet, but bro, Kyle Shanahan's system is still undefeated in my mind, in my head. And anytime you can plug and play. And if you think about those weapons that Brock has, you know what I'm saying? Ayuk scares me. Kittle scares me. Debo scared. Any one of those dudes can house the ball, house in any play. And it always seems like they have a running back. No, there we leave out Christian McCaffrey. 3, you know what I'm saying? 4 dudes that could house it at any point, you know what I'm saying, from any point on the field. All he has to do is to operate within the context of the offense. But I think what Rich is saying here is by doing Brock Purdy type things is play within the context of the offense. Don't try to overdo it, but at some point, what Caleb would have that Brock won't have is, all right, when things break down, all right, now can I go be, Patrick Mahomes Jr. out there, keep my eyes downfield and deliver the ball. What we got next, Jay? The maestro back there. Understand? Jay Grizz in the building says, when you have weapons such as the Bears have and you're walking into the best rookie situation ever for a QB. I was going to ask you about this, Bishop, this take about the best rookie QB situation ever. Been much talked about on Bears media platform, social media platform, the best situation. Does that matter? Does it factor in what our expectations should be? Like, it's a real thing, man. And see what I've learned to do. If y'all notice, I don't think anybody picking up on this. I probably said Justin Fields' name twice now, right? What I've done during this process is, okay, our guys in Pittsburgh, boom. Caleb's here. Singularly focus on what we need to do for Caleb and to support Caleb and to be like this right here. So it's not a comparison thing. But I think a lot of people, when they're looking at the quarterback position, this becomes part of the factor. This is, even though incomplete in my eyes, I think is a pretty good situation. Like, how do you feel about that take, Bishop?
So I would say situations matter. 100% of the time, situations do matter. And yes, I do agree. Caleb Williams as a first overall pick is walking into a situation that no number one overall pick has probably ever walked into in the history of the NFL. You're walking into an offense where, one, you got Shane Waldron, who he's worked with, he's done his QB training with. Two, so you got some familiarity there. Two, you have one of the top 5 wide receiver ones, and let's not get it twisted. Not every team has a wide receiver one. In fact, wide receiver ones are very rare in the NFL with DJ Moore. And then on top of that, we have, possibly 2 of them, Keenan Allen, who has not just the talent, but also wisdom to pass on because, again, being 31 years old and still getting better, he's a very productive wide receiver. He can pass down knowledge that way. You have a very young offensive line, which is, I think, the only question mark of this offense. You got somebody shifty as DeAndre Swift, and even Roshan Johnson and Khalil Herbert. So you have a running back by committee. I think DeAndre Swift is going to be RB1 though. And then you have the number 9 overall. So it's not just a situation that he's going into, but I would say, yes, you can expect. Take it for what you will. I would say as a fan, because I'm not going to tell anybody how to fan, but I will say as far as expectations, from a realistic standpoint, expect the transition to the NFL of talent and skill and what he did best to just be a little bit more seamless than others, right? Because you have the talent around you. Because number 1 overall, quarterbacks tend to go to teams that there's a reason why they were picking number 1. They don't necessarily have the talent around them. You take the Jaguars, for example, when they got Trevor Lawrence, year 1, Trevor Lawrence looked decent. He had his rookie growing pains, but year 2, when they got the talent around them, they took off. It went literally from worst to first in that situation. So I would definitely say, when I mean first, I don't mean like first in the division. I mean more so like playoff berth.
Right.
Yeah.
No, I'm staring at a graphic off screen, and this is the extreme Danny Parkins threw out there on one of the Fox shows, is the rookie season of Andrew Luck, understanding the context and Caleb having more talent probably than even Andrew Luck had in his rookie season. The record was 11-5, 4,371, 4,374 yards, 23 touchdowns, 18 interceptions, sacked 41 times. What do you feel about those out there that would say Caleb has more talent? He should be able to outshine those numbers or at least compete with it.
I personally look at that and just say, we made the mistake before of misinterpreting the value of something based on something else, right? Like, for instance, we look at the Sam Darnold trade and we look, okay, when Caleb Williams was traded, people were furious that we didn't get what Sam Darnold got or anything close to it, right? I would say that, because people see what's the product which is put on the field, but it starts with the mentality of the quarterback. Andrew Luck was somewhat of a genius as a person himself outside of being quarterback. Add that IQ, that high IQ to football, and it translates to what it is on the field. With Caleb more so, like, yes, there's high expectations to where, what he did in football. There's a reason why he's seen as this special talent coming out, because he's the most mechanically sound quarterback coming out. So when you add almost a fundamentally perfected quarterback and put him in the NFL around other great talents at wide receiver and skill positions, you can expect top tier. I wouldn't say top tier, but above average numbers from that. Theoretically speaking.
I think my only pushback to the comparison to the Andrew Luck rookie season is Andrew Luck, and this was the whole time. Andrew Luck, Joe Burrow, Trevor Lawrence all had more exposure to pro style offenses coming in. And so I'm not, again, it may seem like I told y'all this was going to happen. I'm going overly defensive for Caleb. I want to compare apples to apples, oranges to oranges. If you know what I'm saying, if for example, I'll give you a great example. Jim Harbaugh's entire offense can be comparable to Shane Waldron in the terms that he likes to run a lot of 12, 13 personnel. That's what Jim is known for doing. And with that comes you're going to run the ball, you're going to go play action, you're going to read coverages, pro style offense. You know what I'm saying? You're going to stretch the field on big plays vertically, and you're going to take the underneath stuff. You know what I'm saying? The short, intermediate game or the short game when needed, right? You'll play that style of football. And it's not the same thing that he did in college as was with Andrew Luck. It was an easier transition to me. So I don't think that's a fair comparison, because again, when things get sticky, people start pulling these graphics out and like, well, Andrew Luck did this and Caleb's, again, he sucks. No, I'm in full Caleb mode, defense mode already, because I want people to manage their expectations. What we got next, Jay? Let's take about 3 or 4 more, and then I'm gonna get Bishop out of here. I know he got big responsibilities over there. Probably got training to do with young Bishop over there.
Yes, sir.
Dr. True said we still need at least 2 more DLs, including edge, another wide receiver, tight end. So it's hard to think of any type of deep playoff run in 2024. I'll let you take that one head on, Bishop.
One thing that I've learned is that no roster is 100% complete. You address the biggest needs first, and everything kind of trickles down from there. Again, you got to look at what the goal is. If you're gearing, like the last 2 drafts were really geared to defenses. For Eberflus's defense. Like I said, I'm not going to say that they're not. I'm not saying they're not going to get defensive end or defensive lineman or a tackle at the number 9 position. But what I would think that if the whole narrative behind making sure that you're QB1, that unanimously it's going to be Caleb Williams. Right. In order to make that transition and that swing a success, is you want to put as much talent around him as possible. My philosophy as other coach, I'm looking at it like this. We see what the league is, their viewpoint on defense from the standpoint, right? You see how advantageous it is for the offense, for quarterbacks, for as far as like the rule changes and everything, right? So the game plan has to be making things as like closing that learning gap as much as possible by solidifying that the skill positions room around Caleb. And think about that marriage between when your quarterback growing with your wide receiver. Because think about it, DJ Moore is how old? He's 26.
Nah, your guess is about as mine.
We'll say 25, 26, right? Just for the sake of the conversation. Yeah. Let's say in 3 years he'll be 29, pushing 30, right? DJ Moore is a pivotal. He's one of the X factors on this offense, but you also want another weapon to kind of like 26. Grow with Caleb. Oh yes, so he's 26. So you want him to grow, a wide receiver to grow with Caleb, right? Mm-hmm. So let's say Roma Dunze, Malik Neighbors, Marvin Harrison Jr. They're all around the same ages, and as one gets better, the other one should get better, just by talent, from a talent perspective, right? For a hunger for the game. So that makes the advantage for Caleb to succeed go up when you add pieces around him. And based on Shane Waldron's offense in particular, it calls for about 3 decent wide receivers. Because outside of, let's say we don't take a wide receiver, right, at number 9. We have DJ Moore, Keenan Allen, and Pettis, or Velus Jones, or
Pettis is back. Velus Jones and the rookie, number 13, Tyler Scott. Tyler Scott. Yeah. Well, burners, by the way.
Yeah. But the hands got to match the feet at that point.
Good point.
So, like, you can get open if you can't
catch a cold.
Yeah, if you can't, if you're a 50-50 when you're open, I mean, chances are that's not going to bode a lot of confidence in your quarterback in you. Yes, I believe what the defense had last year, because remember if we're saying we need 2 more defensive linemen, are we looking to build a good defense? Or are we looking to build the perfect defense? Right. I feel like at this point where the defense is right now, is any more additions as far as like blue chip talent to it. In a way, it's kind of like it. Yeah, exactly. They it's at that point with Montez Sweat, how they all performed at the end. Like the last 6 games, they were a top 5 defense, right?
Right.
Our offense was middle to bottom of the barrel.
Right.
So that's why I think and that goes to show where, because the fruit of the labor of the last 2 drafts going majorly defense.
Hey, Ryan Poles has really been caping for his boy the last couple of years.
Yes,
I don't know what kind of dope deal they got on the back end, what they've been working out, but they got to cut a deal, because no way Flu should have came unscathed in this whole situation. This defense, to your point, Bishop, this defense is one play to me. Now, depth is a whole nother discussion, but if you give me T'Vondre Sweat, you give me, these are my guys. You give me T'Vondre Sweat, you give me Jared Verse, you give me Newton, who I'm falling in love with this dude. Pause, no Diddy, all other stuff you want to say about that. This dude is crazy to me. You give that, and this is a great, you go to great defense. Now, depth is a whole nother conversation. I still think we have depth on offense. I think the first layer for offense needs to be more of a concern, is the issue. And to your point, you have to ask the question, do we be a great defense and allow Caleb to develop with a great defense, or do we start trying to balance the thing out and then try to get maybe those defensive players late on? What else we got, Julius? Let's get one more, man, because these topics. By the way, man, we got 220 watching, I believe. Is that the eyeball? Is that what that means, Julius? I've been doing this forever, and I never pay attention to the eyeball. To over 220 watching, 2 likes and with all those people, we only got 2 likes, man. Come on, bro. We lacking.
Oh, no.
Run the likes up, man. I mean, all these lurkers. By the way, like I said, guys, just a reminder, we're gonna have your boy Lawrence Holmes on the show on Thursday. Should be a good one, man. Excited about that. One more, and then we're gonna let Bishop give out this drunk Uncle award. I just thought about something reading the name of the person in the chat, because you know what I'm saying. You know, people from other cultures. If you're Richard, they call you Dick. Never mind. I'll let that one ride.
It's an old school thing. I know what you're going with that.
I slid from the no Diddy comment into reading that, and then it was like apologies ahead of time, Richard. Long. Hey, anyway, I gotta calm down. It says, what about the effects of short fields, turnovers, pass rush? Hey, bro, I'm gonna lead off with that one, and I'm gonna say I'm with you on that. Like, that's why I asked the question: do they go ahead and finish? First of all, quick moment. The blind somebody, one of my fellow YouTube page leaders, the guy that actually I was on his channel first, Chicago Bears 24/7, my boy over there. Jesse asked me after the Justin Fields trade, he's like, where did you miss it, coach? And I said, I forgot about the politics of football and the sport and the business that is the NFL. I forgot about the politics because I believe this paid a lot to do with the decisions, giving Ryan Post giving himself some more leeway. Yeah, you know what I'm saying? We getting a good quarterback and all that stuff, but we can't pretend like giving yourself more time through drafting Caleb Williams and all that other stuff didn't buy Ryan Poles and Matt Eberflus some more time, especially Matt Eberflus. That being said, the political part of it here is Matt Eberflus should want us to finish this defense off because he's a defensive coordinator and build a dominant defense to double down and stamp himself as a legendary Chicago Bears coach, because it's Chicago. I know we're trying to be the New England Patriots of the 2000s and the 2010s and sling the ball all over the field and play offensive style football, but you know, nostalgia is a thing, tradition is a thing in Chicago. We already know it. And if he builds a great dominant defense that is comparable to any of the great defense we had in the history of this city, he will get his flowers. You know what I'm saying? So that's my little 2-piece on Mr. Richards comments. I can't unsee it, man. Bishop, man, it's been great having you on the show, man. I'm gonna let Julius, the maestro, slide us into the DM section of the show, and when we come back, Bishop, you got to give us that drunk uncle award. You got to give it out, man. I know. Look, Bishop's a nice dressed and all that stuff, but we're gonna force him to give out this award. Let's slide.
Anything is possible, got feelings in my cup. I see everything in double, got 2 blunts, I'm rolling up. I've been walking in a circle, no expression, now I'm stuck. 34 decline, cough like Giannis chasing bucks. Anything is possible, got feelings in my cup. I see everything in double.
He let it play all the way through. All right. Shout out to the maestro. Who you got for us, Bishop? It's your turn, man. You got the stage. The legendary Drunk Uncle Award, Chicago Bears 360.
So I can hand this out to just anybody. And now watching the show, anybody, right?
Anybody, bro. They could get it.
Oh, man. Drunk Uncle. I would say, oh, man, you know what? A few people actually fit this description, but the Drunk Uncle Award, I gotta give it to Elise. You know, like AJ
shots fired.
because she, you know, it's a controlled chaos with her, but man, it's like the drunk uncle, as we know, goes to the cookout, drinks, knows they can fly off the handle, and just wants nothing but pure chaos. And I think that's what Elise is. I think Elise likes to pull the grenade and run. So she gets the drunk uncle award.
I did not see that coming. Your fellow showmate, maestro. You know what I'm saying? Your fellow showmate, maestro. That's I never listen. I think Elise knows how to. She knows how to play the. As I learned this term this week or last week, knows how to play the dozens just as well as anybody on Bears Twitter X. By the way, friend of the program and show.
No, I'm DMing her right now.
See, that's why you gotta be in the comments. You never know when you gonna get the Drunk Uncle Award. At least you just got the Drunk Uncle Award. This won't be the first one, the only one we give out this week. And I've never heard at least has never gotten it before, man. But anyway, Bishop, man, I appreciate you coming on the program, bro. We gonna make this happen again as much as you have time, man. I like talking ball, bro. So you know what I'm saying? Having somebody on that can talk ball and kind of like get into the schematic side of it is always cool. But also the other part is, man, I want to make sure the audience knows, man, you don't have to. And I don't always intentionally, I don't always bring people on the program that agree, man. I've had, Kenneth Davis came on. We didn't agree on the Justin Fields situation. Coach, I can't think of Coach Nick, what is Nick last name? Coach Nick came on the program. He actually picked Caleb Williams to come to Bears. Kenneth did. So it's not about that. It's about, perspective. You said what?
Nick Whalen.
Yeah, Nick Whalen. What else did I get wrong? This is the ESPN moment where we bring the producer up and tell me what did I jack up, maestro producer? What else did I get wrong besides my Justin Fields take?
That's really about it, man. Honestly, everything else, and me and you talked about about a month ago. You were getting a lot of stuff right, but I mean, hey, you can't be right about everything. Right.
Again, and the whole point is, it's not about, you know what I'm saying, the objective, if you will, is not about is not about being right. The objective is to give you guys something to think about, give you things to look out for, to prepare your thoughts, and again, help you manage expectations. That's part of what our brand is here at Chicago Bears 360. But again, man, hope y'all enjoy having Bishop on the program, man. We're gonna have him back for sure. Bishop, on these Tuesday shows, man, you're welcome to come back, man. As much as time permit. Just you got to hit the you know what I'm saying? You know the whole point. What is it? American what is it? American Hustler with Denzel, the movie. We made this
That's
analogy the other day. American Gangster. American Gangster. Yeah, American Gangster. You know what I'm saying? You gotta you can't listen, to get you scheduled, you don't talk to me. You gotta talk to Louis. Gotta talk to the man scheduling, Julius. You got to super duper
Julie in this situation.
Yeah, right, exactly. So here's the deal, bro. We have Lawrence Holmes on the show on Thursday. Looking forward to that. Also, man, I gotta give a huge shout out to, because we just made this change in the last month or so. A huge shout out to the maestro producer on the back end of this, Julius running things, and also our creative director, Mr. Jeremy J2K, that puts together all our graphics, who's working on a tremendous package for us to update. And for all you Justin Fields haters that hate seeing the show intro and showing highlights of Justin, we're about a few weeks away from introducing a new show, graphics and all that good stuff, so you guys won't have so much heartburn. So for now, man, I'm Coach T. That's my man Bishop, and Julius on the back end, and J2K. Y'all know the deal, man. Past, present, or future, man, we bear down. We always gonna hear. We'll see y'all next time, and bear down.